is Harley Race, the king of all of wrestling.
This is Leland Race, the legacy of the Race family in professional wrestling, and you are listening to
another wrestling podcast.
It's time for another wrestling podcast.
The measuring stick just changed around here, buddy. You're looking at
the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
They think they got the answers. I change the question.
The cream of the crop.
Nobody does it better.
These are the best in the world, brother. These are the best at what they do.
When we talk about the legends of the sport, there's only two in my book.
another wrestling podcast.
Another wrestling podcast. Now can you dig that, sucker?
All right. Welcome to another wrestling podcast. I'm Steve Credo.
And I'm Jonathan Benjamin.
And this is episode 112. Jonathan, are you ready for another show today?
I am. I'm exactly... I don't know where I was going with that. I am so excited about this. We have the Races joining us today. Harley and his son, Leland Race, just in time for Father's Day. Steve, you're a father, so you can appreciate this. It's going to be an amazing show.
Definitely. We try to spice it up a little bit with like little things like this. So, hey, father and son on the show today. Hey, nobody else is doing it like us.
Today's show is brought to you by...
Did you ever dream as a kid of being a professional wrestler? Well, Platinum Fitness Professional Wrestling School is the most incredible wrestling school in the Connecticut area, led by head trainer Randy Sean Lockwood. Randy is a 15-year veteran and world-traveled athlete. He brings his passion for wrestling as well as his vast knowledge to the school, with many guest trainers to enhance your knowledge. The school has up-to-date fitness equipment in a clean and family-friendly environment. If you're looking to learn what it takes to make your dreams a reality, the Platinum Fitness Professional Wrestling School is your best choice.
The school is located on 22 Canosa Avenue, Danbury, Connecticut. The telephone number is 203-628-7757, and class times are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. and Saturday 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
If you ever considered about being a professional wrestler, a manager, valet, or referee, then this is the school you want to be a part of. Tons of experienced staff, clean facilities, special trainers, seminars, and much more.
They offer many affordable payment plans. If you have any other questions, check out PlatinumFitnessCT.com.
Right into it. A lot of things are happening in the world. Well, we want to let the world know what's going on and some of our thoughts about what's happening. Jonathan, the WWE recently announced for the Cruiserweight Classic a few wrestlers who are going to be joining this classic, if you will. Could you maybe let the world know what's going to be happening?
Well, yeah, they just revealed 32 names that are going to be competing in the first ever WWE Cruiserweight Classic. The tournament's going to be taped throughout the summer at Full Sail University, but some of these people that they've added to this, I'm very excited about. We have some locals, some internationals, some of my favorites that we'll get to see, none other than Cedric Alexander, Tony Nese, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. For those of you out there who are confused at some of these names, there's some classics for you too. Tajiri, Brian Kendrick, those are both going to be on there. But I would have to say there's some people that I'm not even familiar with. I'm excited to see what they have. But if I had to just say right now, someone that I'm excited about seeing is going to be Zack Sabre Jr. I'm pumped. I've seen a little bit of what he's got to offer, and I think that this tournament is going to be amazing. It keeps everything interesting and fresh, and I hope that we see a lot of these people end up in NXT after this tournament is over.
Yeah, John, it'll be interesting to see what happens after the tournament, to where Do they plan on doing this next year, or is it just a one-and-done type of deal? But I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, the winner of this tournament, Jonathan, I want the winner to have the brand new, re-debuted Cruiserweight Championship. I would love for them to bring back the Cruiserweight Championship, and what better way or place to bring it back than the CWC, the Cruiserweight Classic. I think what better prize than, I don't want to see another trophy. I don't want to see, something that's going to get broke on somebody or barely used. I want to see a championship. Do you think that could happen? Is that a possibility?
Well, they have to pry it out of Hornswoggle's fingers because he was the last Cruiserweight champion. So if they can find old Swoggle, he's working on the independent scene now, but if they can find him, there's always a chance.
Well, hopefully this will reinvent the Cruiserweight division. I'm hoping that's what it's probably going to be used for, as a little rocket ship to, kind of show them this division in a whole new light and not a joke of how it ended. So I'm excited. I just really hope we see a championship come out of this and it be used on TV. So who knows? We'll see what happens.
Well, speaking of things debuting, also this week we found out at the NXT did a tour at a music festival overseas, and at that festival we saw none other than Bobby Roode debut. Finally made his NXT debut. Now, Steve, I don't know what your thoughts were on Bobby Roode prior to his NXT debut, but what are your thoughts about it now that he has finally made landfall in NXT?
I'm kind of curious to see what will happen. I'll tell you what, right now though, to where I'm still confused with this whole NXT and what's happening, because NXT was supposed to be the farm team, if you will, the step up before the main roster, and right now it's kind of filled with a lot of TNA guys. We got Samoa Joe, Austin Aries. Now we got Bobby Roode. When does it end, Jonathan? When does it end? Is it just a short stint before the draft to where maybe some of these guys will get moved up to the main roster? I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? But I'm starting to see a little confusion in what NXT is. Is it going to be a third brand? Is it a home for is it a home for TNA washouts? I don't know. But, it's exciting to see him there. It's exciting to see him actually going to be used to his full potential. I'm enjoying it, but I'm also, like I said, I'm just a little bit confused of the NXT landscape as of late, because right now it's like the home away from home for TNA, guys. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, especially after they do the draft. But hey, welcome Bobby Roode, huh?
Well, I'll tell you right now that this guy, Bobby Roode, I am super pumped that he's in NXT. I don't think that he ever got the chance to kind of really shine on his own in TNA. He did a lot of great things, and I know that he won championships and all that stuff, but this is a guy that if I was starting my own wrestling business, my own company, I would use Bobby Roode as my champion. I think that he's got it. No pun intended for all of you listening out there, but Bobby Roode is an amazing wrestler and an amazing entertainer, and I'm looking for hopefully a long career for him in not only NXT, but eventually WWE.
Definitely. And Jonathan, a little bit of sad news happening as the singer for D-Generation X, the theme song, Chris Warren, has passed away at the age of 49. Little sad note coming out of that, but oddly, when I was younger, I honestly thought it was the lead singer from Rage Against the Machine who sang the DX theme song, because he sounded so similar to Rage. So when I was little, I always thought it was the guy from Rage Against the Machine. I never knew, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember him coming out he also sang Triple H's theme and the DX theme, but he's one of those things, when you close your eyes, you think about wrestling during the Attitude Era, that voice just kind of comes out. So, we were very sad to see him pass away, and, offer our condolences to his family. So, whenever next time you're on the network, be sure to type in something where you can hear that voice, and you'll all know it'll transform you back to that time and that place where you were whenever you were listening to that. So, Chris Warren, you will be missed.
And joining us right now is the son of Harley Race. His name is Leland Race. We're going to talk to him a little bit about everything from growing up as the son of Harley Race and what he's doing in wrestling himself. So stay tuned for this one.
Joining us today is a wrestler, a trainer, and an all-around good guy. He was born into the wrestling business and is practically wrestling royalty. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Leland Race. Leland, how's it going today? Thanks for coming on.
I'm doing great, guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate every opportunity that's thrown my way, and all the good words that you guys said. I appreciate it very much, and just looking forward to talking with you guys and having a good time tonight.
Great. Now, Leland, many people know that your father is the legendary Harley Race. What they may not know is just how long you have been involved in the wrestling business. When did you first get started?
Yeah, I started when I was 17 years old, back in 2003. And, I've been involved with it ever since. So going on 13 years, 13 and a half years now.
Now, was that something that your dad, being in the wrestling business, did he look down on that, or was he kind of happy that you started to follow in his footsteps?
It was like, it wasn't good or bad. He just said if I wanted to do it, it's totally my decision, and he wasn't going to help me, give me a leg up in this industry just because of the last name. And I had to go out there and work for everything that I still have today, and I still continue to work, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
Definitely. Now, can you go back to maybe that one moment in time when that wrestling bug bit you? Was it a moment, as a kid growing up watching your dad or just watching TV? Any special moment that you can go back to?
When I was really young, I didn't know exactly I knew what my dad did, don't get me wrong, but you don't really comprehend at such an early age what your parents do for a living. Whether you're a cop or whether your parents are cops or firemen or lawyers or doctors or whatever the case is. Yeah, if they're a cop, you just see them walk out the door with, all the cop stuff on, but you don't realize that they protect people's lives for their job and prevent crime. And that's a dangerous thing. And, doctors, they go out there and save lives every single day. And, so you don't really understand I don't want to say the severity of it. You don't really comprehend what your parents do for a living until a little bit later on in life. And that was probably around 10 years old when I started to really figure it out. And there wasn't any particular moment in time when it was kind of like an aha type of moment. It was more just watching every single day and being around some of the people that, obviously my dad would be around, and that just kind of rubbed off on me and built up, and it just, I didn't want to do anything else.
Awesome. Now, like you just mentioned, you were in some of the same circles as your father. Who were some of your favorite wrestlers growing up? That's a hard question to answer. It's pretty vague. I am a huge fan of people that have been involved in amateur style, collegiate style wrestling, amateur style wrestling, whatever you want to call it. I participated in that myself when I was younger, and people like Kurt Angle and Jack Briscoe. Jack Briscoe was really, very talented wrestler. And, I'd still try to watch film of him to this day just because you always learn something new from watching stuff that's been done in the past. And, Benoit, Jericho, especially in the early WCW days, just because it was what they were doing at that point in time in wrestling was very different. And being different in this industry makes you stand out like a sore thumb in a good way. And, watching that stuff that was different for that point in time is what really caught an interest of mine.
All right, now growing up also, in school, kids love wrestling. Did other kids in school, what did they think actually about your dad being Harley Race? Was there anything, did they love it? Did they hate it? I don't know. How did that feel growing up in school?
Yeah, no, it was the cool kid type of thing to do to have underneath your belt. You know, a real life professional wrestler being your own dad. Not everybody has that notch on their belt, and not to use it in that type of fashion, but a lot of parents, they live everyday lives where they clock in and clock out, and they may be happy with their job, they may not, but a lot of people don't really get the just due that they deserve, just because, you know, of the type of everyday job that they may or may not have. And being a professional wrestler is something that is definitely out of the norm. And when you have a guy by the name of Harley Race being your father, that definitely is something that you don't run across every single day. And so it was definitely the cool kid type of thing, but, you know, also try not to brag about it just because he wasn't at home a lot. And hardly at all, especially during the prime of his career. And, you know, it was cool for the most part. I'll say that.
Now, you said you started training when you were 17, which is, you know, fairly young. And most second or even third generation wrestlers seem to kind of take to the business pretty quickly. You know, it came natural to them. Do you feel that you were ahead of the curve when you first started training, or was it still like, do you feel like that you were pretty much just like anybody else when you started training?
It's one thing I've learned, especially being the trainer at a wrestling school, is that everybody learns at different speeds. And it definitely helps if you have some type of, if you have a passion for this industry, and if you have a passion for professional wrestling, because then you're going to, you know, watch it not just to be a fan, but also to not try and emulate it, but to try and figure out what's being done. And there's only so much you can do at that point in time, you know, before you cross that threshold from being into a fan into a professional wrestler. But you know, my dad, when I first decided and got the okay, I guess, if you want to call it that, to be a professional wrestler, my dad sent me to a guy by the name of George South. He's based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and so he said, I'm not going to play any favoritism games. I don't want you starting here at my school, because that's going to be one thing that will be frowned upon, and that's, you know, obviously if Harley's son is there at the school, there's a good possibility of favoritism that could be looked at. And so I went out to Charlotte, North Carolina with George South, and I was training 6 days a week, about 5-6 hours a day in a building where I could literally stand in the middle of the ring and touch the ceiling. It wasn't a very big building, but it was the best opportunity for me to learn, because, like I said, I was doing it 5-6 days a week, and I was wrestling on shows within a month and a half of myself training. Started training at the very beginning of March of that year, and April 23rd, it was my debut of a match.
All right. Here's another question. You know, sometimes, I don't know if I want to call it a curse or whatnot, but, you know, of being a pro wrestler's son or daughter, when training, or even when you had some of your first matches, did you feel maybe that people were treating you differently, or did you ever feel that you were treated differently just because of who your dad was?
No, because when I first told him, you know, when I sat him down and said, all right, I want to do this, he said, all right, well, you can do it. You're going to go to Charlotte and you're going to train with George South. George, like I said, is a very respectable person and a great human being. But he's also a guy that is very knowledgeable about, number one, professional wrestling, and number two, how to train guys. When he sent me out there, you know, he made the condition that, all right, you know, only two people are going to know who you are, and that's George South and Harley Race. And so when I was going in training, I was going under the name of Jason Jones. It's kind of like an author, I believe it's called a pseudonym. Yep. When they changed their names for writing and book purposes, that's the agreement that him and I had, because if I decided that it wasn't what I wanted to do on a full-time basis, or if I, quite frankly, stink up the joint, he didn't want his name to be associated with it. He didn't want to be associated with failure, but just because of what he had done for professional wrestling and how long and how good of a career he had. And so, I wasn't really treated any differently, just because not everybody knew my name, legit name. And, that was a good thing. And then, when I moved back to Eldon, 2008, October 2008, I still wrestled under the name of Jason Jones, just, to continue to try. And the main reason for him wanting to make sure that I didn't compete under the Race name was just also to be able to prove to him and to the rest of the world, wrestlers and fans and everybody else in between, that I could stand on my own 2 feet without having his name attached to me. Again, it goes back to the favoritism thing.
Absolutely. Now, do you have, obviously there's a lot of second and third generation wrestlers out there. Is there one that you kind of looked up to, or even has any of them ever, talked to you about this sort of thing? Obviously, like Ted DiBiase Jr., The Rock, all these people. Have you ever had conversations with these people about being a second generation wrestler?
Some, but not a whole heck of a lot. It's we're all in this for the same reason, and it's not how to survive in a world as a second or third generation professional wrestler. It is how to survive in the world of professional wrestling, period. It's a tough world, especially today. It was physically, it was hard on the body back in the in the NWA days and AWA, WWF. It was hard on the body because you were gone. Number one, you were gone 7 days a week. Number two, the conditions that the ring was in and the buildings were in, no pads around the ring or anything like that. All that stuff, it wreaked havoc on your body. And when you were gone 7 days a week, it's hard to get a solid day's worth of rest in between events. And now the conditions are a lot better, but you're still gone. If you work for WWE and Vince McMahon, you're still gone 4 or 5 days a week, sometimes more, just depending on if you're either going overseas or if you're filming movies or making appearances on behalf of the company and stuff like that. I mean, you're an extremely busy person, and trying to figure out how to survive in a world like that is difficult by yourself. So, of course, you want to try and get as much advice and as much help from people that's kind of been there and done that.
Mm-hmm. Now, Leland, how would you describe your wrestling style for people who may not have seen you yet?
My wrestling style is I can't really describe it because I go in there and I do one thing, and that's to win. And that's all I've been trained to do, is to go out there and go out there and show everybody that I can put on the best wrestling match and be the best wrestler, not only on the card or in that match, but also the entire card. And it takes time for me to have learned what I've done up thus far, and I'm not going to stop learning. It's going to be an everyday thing until the day that I die, as far as trying to get better. And at some point in time, I will be the best, and legitimately be that. But that point will come, and it's just a matter of if, not when. Going out there, and a lot of people say today that they're the best. That's like a cliche thing, so I'm not going to call myself the best. I'm going to go out there and show everybody why I am very good at what I do.
Awesome. Now, we mentioned earlier that not only do you wrestle, but you help train wrestlers as well. Is there one of those that you get more satisfaction out of, or do you like them both the same?
As far as training trainer versus wrestler?
Yes.
It honestly kind of goes hand in hand, to be honest with you, because I didn't really look at it from what I'm about to say beforehand. When you're just a wrestler, you only look at stuff from one point of view, and that's from a professional wrestler. But when you're a trainer of potential and up-and-coming professional wrestlers, you got to look at it from, all right, how am I going to break this down to get everybody to learn? And one of the most important things to people as professional wrestlers is that you have to have the ability to adjust. And not everybody has that ability. And for you to be able to adjust to each and every single person that comes through your wrestling school door will help you exceed and excel into the world of professional wrestling even further. And that's one thing that I have definitely found out the hard way. And but it's also something that I'm, happy to say that I can do.
Now, Leland, what can you tell us about WLW, and how can people find out more information about it?
World League Wrestling is, it's been around for a long time. So this is 2016, so 17 years now. And that's very hard to come by as far as independent, small-time professional wrestling companies. But the one card that we have that a lot of other companies don't is the fact that it is ran and still operated by Harley Race, the 8-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the greatest wrestler on God's green earth. He still is there every day that we're open, and without question, he wants to be there. He says that professional wrestling is his life, and believe me, it really is. He wants nothing more than to still be involved in professional wrestling. WLW was started and still is operated with the intentions of giving back to the community and bringing professional wrestling to areas that probably wouldn't see it. And what I mean by that is, when we go to these smaller towns, in 2.5 weeks, we're going to be in a town called Bell, Missouri, which I've never even heard of before a day in my life, but it's a town of 1,500 people, and we're doing a fundraiser for a youth sports league, and they will be, they're busting their hind ends down there already. The kids down there, they understand that they have to put the work into it to get something out of it. And those kids love professional wrestling. The people down there that we're working with, they love professional wrestling. And without a group like us, odds are the people that will be coming to that event on Saturday, June 25th, probably wouldn't have seen professional wrestling at the price that we're bringing it to them. We're family friendly. We make it affordable for everybody to come. And we just enjoy what we do, and the fans will get to see the superstars of tomorrow's version of professional wrestling today. And you can go to HarleyRace.com. You can look up all the information on the Harley Race Wrestling Academy, the 2016 Harley Race Wrestling Camp, the beginners camp when the next one is scheduled, Harley Race, WLW. I mean, all sorts of stuff. We got it all pretty much on there. And we're going to continue to keep that thing updated. The social media pages are up there. The search for World League Wrestling on pretty much everything, and we're on there. And give us a call. We'll be happy to answer anything that we can to help you out.
Now, you've been wrestling since you're 17. You want to become the best in the world, and maybe this is the answer to this question, but what do you consider, when the dust settles, your ultimate goal for your professional wrestling career?
To be able to continue to be involved in professional wrestling and pay my bills with it and make it my life just like it is right now. And this, I get a lot of questions thrown at me sometimes, that's worded a tiny bit differently than the way you word it. And it's, what do you consider to be a successful career, successful professional wrestler? Everybody has a different definition of success. And, but mine is right now. To me, when about 8 years ago, I realized what I wanted to be considered as a success in professional wrestling, and that's to be able to pay my bills and take care of my family as well as my dad, and still be involved in professional wrestling all at the same time, doing the same thing. And I'm doing it right now. And obviously, I'd like to make more money, but in the same sense, there's not too many people in the world today that are able to provide for their family using professional wrestling as a means to do so. And I'm happy and fortunate and lucky enough to be able to do that.
Great. Now, Looking ahead, or in the past, or whatnot, who are some of the wrestlers that you haven't gotten a chance to wrestle yet that you would like to go toe-to-toe with?
Yeah, one of them definitely is impossible to happen now, but one of them would have been Eddie Guerrero, without any shadow of any doubt whatsoever. Him, Kurt Angle has been, I've been a huge fan of his since his debut, and just his style. Let's see, Cesaro, to me, every time I watch him, he's one of the best out there today. AJ Styles is up there, and you know, the next step that I would like to take into my career would be going to wrestle for New Japan Pro Wrestling. My dad made a very good name for himself in Japan, and the amount of respect that fans in that country still have for him today is uncanny. And so I would like to continue to do that, still run out there and proving that I'm able to do it without his help, so to speak. That's what I would like to do next. And so to be able to wrestle some of the bigger Japanese superstars would be a huge, huge thing for me. And, you know, one of them at the top of my list would be Jushin Thunder Liger, you know, Tanahashi or anybody within that group.
Well, it's almost Father's Day, and obviously, you know, having a legendary father like yourself, it may not have always been the easiest to find him presents, being since he probably had the championships lying around the house. So with that being said, what does somebody get a man like Harley Race for Father's Day?
This year I'm actually going to be getting him a replica belt of the Missouri State Heavyweight Championship title that he held when he was active in his career. That's one title that he doesn't have, and he has one of the original NWA World Heavyweight Championship titles in his office, and he displays that thing proudly. And that belt probably meant the most to him throughout his entire career, not taking anything away from any of the other championships. But, you know, when you were NWA World Heavyweight Champion, you were the man, and he took that seriously. And that's why he was 8-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And he was also, maybe on a slighter, lesser-known fact, multiple times Missouri State Heavyweight Champion. He was actually the very first one when it was created by Sam Mushnick, and he was the very last guy to hold that championship when the title actually meant something. And so that title, I believe, and I've had a few discussions with him, is probably, you know, second on his list as far as actual titles that he's held. That one of the more memorable championships, and so I'm working on getting a replica of that championship title made so he can hang it up in home, office, wherever.
Awesome. Now we're almost done here, but two more questions. You know, wrestling seems to have moved from a pure wrestling standpoint to now to more of an entertainment aspect over the years. Which do you prefer, and how do you feel about that?
You have to kind of take a step back a little bit. I mean, I understand definitely what you're asking. Mm-hmm. But when you watch wrestling today, I assume you two gentlemen and everybody that's listening watches wrestling every Monday night, I guess now Tuesday night here in a month or so, whatever day it is. What you see on television is just that, it's television. So yes, it's entertainment. But when you go to a WWE live event, which have either of you been to a live event?
Yes, oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, the matches are longer, and they actually put more wrestling involved in it. And it's you know, you got to consider the source, literally how you're watching it, whether you're at home in front of television or you're at a live event. And could there be more wrestling involved? Yeah, obviously. But when you got a company like WWE that is overflowing with talent, that has 100+ wrestlers to choose from, you gotta be able to provide as much eye-catching appeal to the audience as possible. So you're going to have shorter matches. You're going to have more for lack of a better word, skit at the moment. I can't really think of anything else to describe it as, but, more entertainment factors included on a television show. But like I said, the talent level there is second to none, is that way for a reason. And so the guys that you watch wrestle every Monday or whatever night of the week you're watching it, they're talented, and they have the knowledge to go out there and put on a match that fans want to get involved in. And so it's kind of a hard question to answer with that. Could there be more wrestling? Absolutely. But professional wrestling has always, to some degree, had some form of entertainment involved in it. And people may not want to admit to that or agree to that, and that's fine. But if you go back all the way, since Abraham Lincoln, there's always been some form of entertainment involved in professional wrestling.
Awesome. Now, as we're getting to the end here, we want to just find out, where can fans keep up with you these days? Social media is a big thing, big part of this show. Do you have social media, and how can people chat with you?
Yeah, absolutely. You just go to I'm on Facebook, Twitter. I've started using that again. Just Leland Race on Facebook, at the Leland Race on Twitter, and that's about all I care to keep up with. I don't really get on there a whole heck of a lot, but I am on there, and I'm more than willing to answer to promoters. If they'd like to book me, that's a very good way to do so. Or call the office call the World League Wrestling's office, talk to my dad, and get me going there too. So, I'm still very active to this day. I'm got a pretty solid summer booked up thus far, and want to continue to do so. And, just going out there and doing what I love to do every single day, and that's wrestling. And, I'm happy to be doing that.
All right, Leland. Well, we talked a lot tonight. We wish you nothing but the best in your future, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I appreciate it very much again, gentlemen. Thank you. I appreciate your time and the opportunity, and I want to say thank you to you guys as well as the fans who are listening, and just keep on supporting what we're doing, because without you, it wouldn't be around.
All right, now, Steve, this Sunday is Money in the Bank live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. That's Ryback's hometown, so anything could happen. You heard it here first. But I've got to say, after WrestleMania, everybody kind of thought that the wrestling wasn't going to stick around, and that but we have to say that most of these pay-per-views after Mania have put on just amazing performances. All these matches have been dream matches for the most part. So this Sunday's no different. We've got some amazing stuff that's happening, and let's get right into it. We've got the pre-show, which I don't even know why they still kind of do pre-shows, because of the network. I guess they're trying to get people to buy it still. But the first match that I'm going to talk about, Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin. Has this feud gone on long enough? And who you think is going to walk away the winner in this match, Steve?
All right, well, Jonathan, I think enough is enough with this match. We've seen it for a while now, it seems like. I don't know. This is I can't count how many times we've seen these guys fight already. Do they just not have anything for Ziggler to do anymore? Do they not have anything for Baron to move on to? I don't know. I think Baron needs to put away Ziggler on this, prove why he was moved up, give him that reason why, to show him that he is still somewhat of a force, and he just needs to keep on going into greener pastures with his character and see what happens. But as far as Ziggler, man, I don't know. He's lost in the shuffle, if you will. So I'm looking for a Corbin win on this, and the end of this feud.
The end of days?
There you go.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that Corbin needs to move on, and I think that Ziggler is the person that's helping him move along. I just hope that something happens with Ziggler sooner rather than later, because I miss him being in the spotlight, and I really think that he's not long for the WWE. I think he's probably on his way out, but I hope that's not the case.
Sure, man, definitely. Now, another pre-show goodie. which we'll have is Sheamus versus Apollo Crews. Now, since Apollo got moved up really fast to the main roster, he hasn't really had a major feud. He's just been a vignette. This is Apollo. He gets a win, yada, yada, yada. It hasn't really had a feud happening. So now, recently, he's gotten into the scuffle with Sheamus, and now we have a match. Giving him a former world champion to go against will be, will be interesting. We'll see how it happens. But I would hope to see Apollo Crews get the upper hand on this to catapult him in the right direction. But what do you think, Sheamus versus Crews?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I went and saw the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Sheamus was in it. He was rock steady. He was fantastic. And I think that there is no way that Rocksteady can lose to Apollo Crews. I would love to see this matchup, two conflicting styles, and it's going to be something interesting to say the least. But my pick for this is it's Sheamus all the way, man.
Awesome. Well, we'll see what happens. Maybe this could last a little bit longer. Hopefully they don't beat it to the ground like the Ziggler and Corbin feud. But hopefully it's a step in the right direction for both of these guys. Now, moving on to the main card, if nothing gets changed from now till then, with Rusev versus Titus O'Neil. Now, a month ago, 2 months ago, Jonathan, if I told you Titus O'Neil would have a championship match against Rusev on a pay-per-view, would you think I was lying?
I would think I was getting swerved.
Well, I think we're all getting swerved with this match. I don't know what really qualified Titus to get a United States Championship match, except for sticking up for himself after 1 or 2 matches or something like that. But I don't know. Do you think it's going to be a sight to see? Is this a test for Titus, if you will?
Yeah, I think that Titus has to look good in this match because this could be his last chance as well. I know that it's well documented that him and Vince had a little scuffle after that one moment where he tried to grab him during the Daniel Bryan situation. So I thought that was silly, but it'll be good to see if Titus can hold his own with Rusev because Titus is always, he's got the size, he's got the look. He just has to continue and, make them believe in him. So I'm hoping that he does well for his sake. And, with this brand split coming up, hopefully Titus doesn't get lost in the shuffle either. But for some reason, I see him winning, but possibly by disqualification. I don't think that Rusev's going to lose the title.
No, yeah, I especially it's too soon since he got it, and I don't know. I get the feud, I get what's happening, but definitely I think Titus, if they're going to give him this, that he definitely needs to work a little bit more for it. So we'll see what happens. Another match, we have the women fighting, Charlotte and Dana Brooke versus Natalya and Becky Lynch. We've seen Natalya versus Charlotte countless times since almost WrestleMania season, and now we're having a tag team match. What do you think about this, Jonathan? Who's going to get the upper hand? I would hope Natalya and Becky Lynch would get it. That would be my pick, but what do you say?
Well, I think that since really nothing is at stake, that's a safe bet. I think that Charlotte and Dana Brooke, and they lost, Charlotte lost on Raw, so I think that was probably to do something for this. So I think that I'm going to agree with you. I think that Charlotte and Dana Brooke. Well, I don't know. Did you say that, or did you say Natalya and Becky?
I said Natalya and Becky Lynch.
Okay, well then I'm going to disagree with you and say it's going to be Charlotte and Dana Brooke.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I definitely would have loved to see Natalya as the women's champion, but they somehow love Charlotte, and I just think it's time for her to lose it. So this is just a little tag team match to do something with. What? I don't know, but hey, we'll see what happens.
Well, speaking of tag teams, we have the Fatal 4-Way for the WWE World Tag
Team Championship.
Yeah. We saw that this was a match that Teddy Long was trying to put into the works, and Stephanie stole it and said that she came up with the idea. It is the New Day, your champions right now, versus the Vaudevillains, versus the Club, versus Enzo and Cass. Now, Steve, there are a lot of people in this match. What do you think is going to happen, and who is your pick to win it?
Well, my wishful thinking pick, I would love, and I hope Enzo and Cass get it. I feel like when they had that tournament a few months ago, before Enzo got hurt, I feel like they were being catapulted to that route of being the number one contenders and then beating New Day. And then, obviously, when Enzo got hurt, that kind of got foiled. But I hope since this is a four-way match, New Day doesn't have to lose, right? I believe to get pinned to lose their championships. So, I believe anybody who gets pinned will lose. So if that's the case, Enzo and Cass could pin the Vaudevillains, could pin the club. They don't technically have to pin the champions to win, as long as they don't last minute change it on the pay-per-view to where it's an elimination. But if it's a fatal four-way, I would love to see Enzo and Cass. I think a fresh face on those tag straps would be good, and we'll see what they can do. But yeah, man, Enzo Amore and Big Cass from me. What do you think?
Well, I think that Enzo and Cass will win it someday. I'm not just trying to be contrary, but I'd like to see the Vaudevillains win it because there's a lot more of a chance of them getting lost in the shuffle than Enzo and Cass. So I really want to see what ends up happening with the Vaudevillains, and I would like to see them win, kind of keep this going with the New Day. They kind of almost are reminiscent of the Right to Censor in the sense that the past couple weeks, every time something awesome is going to happen, they come out and kind of spoil it. So I'm hoping this kind of keeps going for a while, and that's my pick. I'm thinking that they're going to win this Sunday.
Sure, and if I did a wild card pick, just throwing it out there again, I would say even giving it to the club would be something different. Granted they haven't been around too long to deserve the championships, but it would be different, and it would make them more dominant to where, hey, you give them the tag team championships, and then, hey, maybe that's another chance for AJ Styles to get back in that main event picture for the championship. But we'll see. Anything, once again, can happen.
I'm going to ask you this now. All right?
Right now.
Now is the what I like to call the main event, even though there's still some really good matches on the card. But the actual Money in the Bank match, we've got Dean Ambrose, the Lunatic Fringe, taking on Sami Zayn versus Cesaro versus Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho versus Alberto Del Rio. Who's your pick? Who's winning Money in the Bank? And to add to that, when do you think they're going to be cashing that bad boy in?
They worked this match really good the last few weeks to where it's pretty much seemingly like anybody could win it. I know a lot of fans are picking Kevin Owens. Some even people want to even see Chris Jericho win it, but I don't think he would even add to anything with that. Del Rio and Sami Zayn, I think, are kind of like sleepers in this. A good pick would be Dean Ambrose, but I personally would pick Cesaro. It's different. I think he could hold on to it for a little bit. I don't think he needs to cash it in right away, even though that would be awesome in the same night. He's reached for the brass rings. The fans still love him. He was out on injury, came back. The fans still love him. He changed up his character a little bit. And tell me, he'd be wearing a suit with a golden briefcase? Come on. It says 007 all over it. So my pick, I'm going to have to pick Cesaro on this one. I don't know.
I think you're thinking with your head or your heart instead of your head. Kevin Owens is the smart money on this match. Owens Mania, KO Mania will be running wild. And as somebody the other day said, briefcase, Owens briefcase. Can't wait to see it. And I'm thinking that Owens is going to walk away. I'm trying to think when he's going to cash it in. There's not really a great thing. I would like to see it at SummerSlam maybe. Maybe he takes on somebody and runs out and breaks up the match. But that's my pick, Kevin Owens.
Sure, and I'll have to say, what are your thoughts, though? Because they did kind of tease a Dean Ambrose win. Could we have all the members of the Shield be a champion in one night? Could Roman Reigns go in, Seth Rollins beat him, and Dean Ambrose, if he wins, cash in on that night to be the newest WWE champion? That's a long shot, but hey, it's still a wishful thinking, final outcome.
Well, stranger things have happened, and I definitely think it would be an amazing way to get people to talk. And also with the split coming up, we don't know if there's going to be 2 World Heavyweight Championships. We don't know what's going to happen yet. So I think having Dean Ambrose come out, if he won, and he's definitely going to tease it. You know his music's going to hit. But whether he cashes in or not, I think they'd save that for something. They wouldn't blow the proverbial load all in one night. So, but speaking of that...
Well, wait. I got one more thing with this.
Okay.
One more possible outcome. You know, you brought it up right there. Within a month from now, we're going to have a brand split, Raw and SmackDown roster. Could you see 2 guys pulling the briefcase off and landing down at the same time, holding it to where 2 guys win it, and now we have 2 Money in the Bank briefcase winners to where they have to award each of these guys a briefcase? Is that, another possible wishful Mark thinking? I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, that could be awesome. It could be, Owens and Ambrose. What they could do is, even if they're not going to each give them like a title shot, they could kind of feud back and forth over the briefcase for a while until they have like another ladder match where they, find out who the rightful owner of the briefcase is. So, we haven't seen a lot of that. It's pretty much a straightforward match. Usually they, somebody goes up, wins it, and that's it. There's never been any contested moments in these matches. So I think you've got the thinking cap on, and I would love to see something like that happen just to kind of mix it up, because unfortunately, we've only had a few people who have won it and lost it. So I would much rather something like what you're saying happen instead of just having for shock value someone win it and then not cash it in and win.
Sure, definitely. 2 more matches, though, Jonathan, left in this Money in the Bank pay-per-view or network special or whatever you want to call it. So, AJ Styles versus John Cena, Icon versus Icon, the match that should have happened at WrestleMania or could still happen at a WrestleMania. What do you think about this one?
I think that everything is telling me that John Cena is going to win, but everything that I want to happen is telling me that AJ Styles is going to win. I'm completely split right down the middle. I couldn't call this until probably the moment the match starts. So I'm at a loss on this one.
Yeah, and anything could happen. I've said it over and over, but it's going to be. This is a big match, man. This is like AJ Styles, the face of TNA and kind of Ring of Honor and New Japan versus the face of WWE. And, this is one of those dream matches. And Cena's had some of these, some of the greatest matches of his career at Money in the Bank. If you look at him versus Punk, when Punk's contract came up, that was one hell of a match. And even looking back at last year, he fought Kevin Owens in an incredible match. So, Cena seems to be having these good matches at Money in the Bank. To who walks away, man, I think AJ Styles deserves it. I think Cena needs to, let him get the upper hand. But at the same time, I could see Cena winning it. But I don't know. I hope there's no shenanigans. I would like to see a winner in this match. But I know we're probably going to get this match for the next few pay-per-views, even going probably into SummerSlam. So who knows? I personally, though, would love to see AJ Styles at the end of the day walk away as the winner.
All right. Well, we've made it all the way to the main event. We've got the guy Roman Reigns taking on the architect Seth Rollins. We've seen a lot of talk about Seth Rollins coming back from that horrific injury. Is he 100%? And is he going to walk away with the World Heavyweight Championship after Money in the Bank?
With those crowd reactions, I mean, granted, I know they love Reigns, the Office as them. I know they love him. But man, the fans are booing him. The fans are cheering Rollins. If anything happens out of this match, I think a double turn has to happen to where I think we need to see maybe Seth go full babyface and Rollins and Reigns go full heel. Granted, I know there's the thin line right now between faces and heels, especially in today's day and age, but I don't know. If they're going to keep booing Reigns, just turn him heel. Make him a bad guy. I don't know. Do something with him. Do something with these boos. And if the fans are going to be cheering Rollins, man, make him a face. I want to see what he could do in the WWE as a face right now. I think this is the place to do it. And who wins? I think if you have Reigns win, the place is going to boo the top off the roof there for him. And if you have Rollins win, the place is going to cheer that roof off. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, Jonathan. But I would really love to see Seth Rollins reclaim his championship that he never lost in the first place.
Well, we don't agree on much, but I do believe that Rollins is going to walk away the winner in this match. And I've been a big supporter of Roman as of late, so this has nothing to do with what I think personally about it. I just think that he's had the belt for a while. Rollins is back, and it may make more sense to have Reigns chase Rollins for the belt than Rollins chase Reigns. So with that being said, I don't know what you all think is going to happen, but I do know where you can tell us what you think, and that is by calling our very own hotline. That is 802-297-7672. That is 802-AWP-7672. Tell us your thoughts on Money in the Bank. Tell us your thoughts on Harley or Leland Race. Tell us your thoughts on my brand new hairdo. Whatever you want to talk to us about, give us a call. Once again, that is 802-AWP-7672. Thank you for the calls.
And now joining us is a legend in his own right. Joining us in the studio is none other than the King, Harley Race.
Harley Race.
Oh my God, I didn't even want to sit through that edit right there. Fucking. Other than that, I don't think we should do anything next week. We'll just come out of there, end it. I think that's it. I mean, it's going to be long as it is. The ending I still have from the other shows, so we'll use that. We do have to do a new ending, though, and figure that out. I know we have this kind of this commercial Platinum Fitness. I definitely got to still get them a new Platinum. Still got to get them a new one to do. I got to order from like Fiverr or something to do that. And we need to do a celebrity voicemail thing. I emailed the guy, seeing if he's heard anything from Kurt Angle yet. To where I want to get that before we actually start plugging it away, but I still have them on our website, and whatnot. So as far as that goes,
hey guys, this is Steven of Steve's Wrestling Lambo and Main Event Marks, along with Talking WWE with Jay. I just wanted to give my quick thoughts on WWE Money in the Bank. I'm certainly looking forward to the whole card. I feel Money in the Bank definitely the top 5 pay-per-view in my eyes. If not, should be penciled in taking out Survivor Series in the Big 4 pay-per-views. But specifically with this card from top to bottom, a home run, so to speak. Big ones I'm looking forward to being the ladder match, of course, for the Money in the Bank briefcase, and the one-on-one for the United States Championship, Rusev versus Titus O'Neil. I'm going to give my quick predictions for those two. I have Rusev successfully defending, even though I would like to see Titus get the U.S. Championship. And I have Dean Ambrose, which I've said from the beginning of this year on my own podcast and the other ones I am a part of, that he'll be winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. And also, my years being that I think Dean Ambrose will be WWE World Heavyweight Champion by the end of 2016. Guys, keep up the good work. I look forward to listening to many episodes of another wrestling podcast. Take care.
And now joining us is a legend in his own right. Joining us in the studio is none other than the King, Harley Race. We have an 8-time world champion, a WWE Hall of Famer, and is currently helping create tomorrow's superstars. Please welcome Mr. Harley Race. Harley, how you doing today?
All right, how are you?
Doing great. Now, we mentioned, you're creating tomorrow's superstars. You're going to be having, in 2016, in August, the Harley Race training camp from August 22nd through the 26th. You're a legend in the business of pro wrestling. Do you feel that, do you love being able to give back now to the future stars of tomorrow?
Well, that's what keeps wrestling going, not only here, but worldwide.
Now, what are some of the things that you probably teach in your camp and your academy that you feel mainstream wrestling doesn't really emphasize on anymore?
Well, they emphasize on it at different points in time, but some of them are just needs to be picked up more and carried more stronger.
Sure. Now, you came into the WWF as King Harley Race. Did you enjoy your time working with the WWF during that time?
I enjoyed working with WWF. It was, I don't know, it was kind of like being in a different part of the world as far as wrestling was concerned, because at that point in time they were pretty much the world of wrestling, which they still are today.
Mm-hmm. Now, we said earlier, too, that you also run your own promotion. What could you tell people who have never seen a World League wrestling show? What can you tell them about the WLW?
Well, they get to see wrestling in a frame of where it's kept. Sometimes it gets away, mm-hmm. but it's kept more just wrestling than it is a lot of the other stuff that blends right into it.
Sure. All right. Yeah, keep it old school wrestling. Now, you spent a lot of time in WCW, and towards the end of your run there, you became a manager. Did you enjoy being a manager at that time? Was it different for you?
Yeah, it was a world of difference. You're standing out there, or you're sitting out there, and you're seeing things happening that that you would handle this way or that way, and they were going 90% of the time in the opposite direction. So it's kind of a world of difference in what you were looking at.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that managers are missing today in the world of wrestling?
No, not really. Truthfully, back when they were fairly heavy involved in wrestling, I never really saw anything that justified having to have that extra thing there and involved in it.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Now, last year was a little tragic year, too. We lost two wrestlers who you know very well. Can you probably tell us your thoughts a little bit about the passing of Dusty Rhodes and Roddy Piper?
Both of them, in their points in time and in their positions in the world of wrestling back then, both of them were just unbelievably good at what they did. And when the world, whatever sport you're talking about, or whatever thing you're talking about, when you lose people of that caliber, the world of it is losing some main event stuff.
Definitely. Now, Harley, if you've been through it all, who would you consider the best wrestler in the world today? Is there anybody that stands out to you who's out there?
No, not really. There's a bunch of very good kids out there right now. Mm-hmm. Back during my era of wrestling and before that, there wasn't, television and stuff wasn't as accessible as it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can watch a guy who wrestled in New York, you can watch him in California.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Back then you couldn't do that.
Now, when you look back on your time in the wrestling business, are you satisfied with everything that you have accomplished, or is there anything that you wish you might have gotten or done?
No, in all generality, I think I had about as good of running career as anyone ever had.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Now, also, you're a huge proponent of Japanese wrestling. What are some of the major differences between Japanese wrestling and wrestling in the United States, would you say?
Anymore, it's kind of leveled itself out. Back then, they had a lot more judo type stuff and that type stuff involved in it.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were wrestling in Japan, did you ever feel any added pressure to perform because you were an American? You know, a little bit different standing out there?
Why, sure. Back during my career and going in and out of there, I went over there, God only knows how many times, 70 plus. But you went there, and at that point, you were involved in their style of wrestling. And you had to really, really fight to keep yourself ahead of that.
Sure.
And I went there 70 plus times, so I had to like it somewhere along the line. Huh?
Yeah, definitely. Now, is it true maybe that some of the other Americans were upset with the way you wrestled in Japan because they would be expected to follow suit?
I wrestled my style of wrestling worldwide. A lot of the Japanese were kind of ticked off at me that I wouldn't slow down or get involved in their style of it. But my style of wrestling made me world champion on numerous occasions, so why should I think about changing it?
Definitely. Now, you've been a part of wrestling. You've been a part of the wrestling business for a long time. Do you feel that wrestling was more popular when you were wrestling than it is today, or how do you feel?
I think there was a lot more involvement in wrestling back during the beginning of my career up till virtually mine was over. I had a buttload of people that were, trying to follow my style, trying to be involved in my style. And a lot of that stuff, there's several different people that I don't want to say copied, but I took some of their style and bent it and twisted it and made it how I wanted to use it. And I think I accomplished, pretty much however I set out in wrestling to make it work for me.
Sure, definitely. Now, did you enjoy the territory days, and did you think they prepared you for life as a full-time pro wrestler?
Yes, they did. And I wish to this day that they were still involved. The Midwest had a different style than the North and the Northeast, and even as far south as Florida had a different style than the Northeast. There's just enough about changes that have made it interesting for you, and it gave you a chance to create a little bit different styles in the way you did it.
And now, after all your years of wrestling, you also have your son who is wrestling, Leland Race. What are your thoughts about Leland in the business these days?
Leland is coming along real well, and he's doing a very, very good job of it right now. And hopefully he continues to do it, but that's, it's entirely up to him. But right now he's doing very well at it.
Sure. Well, Mr. Race, we thank you so much for joining us today, and we thank you for all your contributions in the business that we love.
Well, I appreciate that very much, and I'm very happy to be able to add what I could add to the world of wrestling.
Well, that's the show. We want to thank you all for listening today.
Every week we do this show free of charge for you, the fans.
And if you're wondering how to repay us, we have just the thing.
Subscribe to us on iTunes.
Hey, and while you're there, be sure to rate us and give us a good review.
If you're looking for more information about AWP, then head on over to anotherwrestlingpodcast.com.
We are all over social media, and you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and more.
If you are an AWP superfan, you can also show your support by going over to ProWrestlingTees.com/anotherwrestlingpodcast and buying one of our official AWP shirts.
We couldn't do this show without you, so tune in next week for
Another Wrestling Podcast.